Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Nazar Labunets with Ataccama, and today I have the pleasure of talking with Deep Srivastava, SVP Head of AI and Digital Transformation at Franklin Templeton. Welcome, Deep. Thanks
Mm.
for joining. Let's start by you introducing yourself and telling us a bit about the work that you do.
Sure. As a head of AI, which is the core role that we try to operate in, there are three key dimensions, and that is true for perhaps any company, perhaps a bit more true for a financial services kind of a company where we are. And the way to think about it is that um, one one dimension is about how do you create the demand. How do we work with business leaders and their teams to create the vision of what's the potential of AI, what AI can do. But then also very important that make it very realistic. Sometimes the potential of AI can look like very um, uh, mm, feels more like a science fiction than real, right? So we've got to then break it down into what's a long-term vision, but what is it that we can do in the shorter term? How do we get there? What are the wins? How do they apply, right? So there's a lot about creating that demand. Um, then there is a lot about delivering on that promise, right? As you're creating that demand, how can you really make this happen? And that requires a lot of collaboration, both internal and external, with the providers, the technology companies. How do you get the research and the product management, product development, SMEs, everyone to work together to start delivering on those objectives, right? And then the third, but perhaps a very important one, is how do you drive that adoption? How do you, as you bring these capabilities in, how do you really start transforming the way the business operates? So that's where, so going along all of those three dimensions, it's an exciting role. It has become way more exciting in the past few months, I would say. I think we're on something big over here.
Yeah, sounds very interesting. And when you say create demand, you mean create demand internally for the kind of the products of your work that you do?
Um, Good question. I think it's both internal. It depends on how we use these capabilities. How do you use AI in digital? Um, some of that aspect is more internal in nature. How do you really create the scale? How do you really bring out, the productivity? How can you really tap into that power? How do you start becoming more effective in serving your clients? But then, as you start going towards the client side, then from there it starts into AI creates an opportunity to create new products, new offerings, new value propositions, entering new markets and capabilities. So it spans that spectrum. And as you go on the other side of it, it starts dealing with clients, with external partners. That whole ecosystem starts to come in.
Right, got it. Cool. And when we think about AI strategy, what is it exactly? How would you define it?
So the AI strategy, when you think about it, at the core of it is, can we transform the enterprise and the ecosystem that we just talked about, right? The ecosystem would include our clients and partners in the way they behave. How do you get to it? What does that strategy involve to really getting to it? That is the crux of the problem. um, because it's easier said than done. Businesses need constant gains. Businesses need to be able to invest, but get the returns coming out to make the next leg of investment. So planning out that strategic roadmap, that what does it take to really make that shift for every industry, for every company, and in our case, that's where our focus is. This is even more true for knowledge intensive industries because that's where AI tends to add perhaps the most value. And so piecing these things all together into a cohesive roadmap and being able to deliver is what we would call as the AI strategy.
Yeah, did you want to add something else?
Yeah, so the other thing that I wanted to perhaps mention was that when you think about it from an AI strategy perspective, it's important to keep that connection that AI is not one set of capabilities, right? It's a lot of set of capabilities that come together. So what you're effectively trying to do is creating an intelligence which is representative of your organization and that value proposition. And that is where the systems need to be trained so that they understand what are the things where we add value. How do we create our products? How do we sell our products and manufacture and do the servicing for the clients? So that training is something which becomes eventually unique to every organization. And that's where the bulk of the focus on the AI front tends to be.
Yeah, you mentioned that there are a lot of opportunities for AI, for knowledge workers or for like knowledge intense, industries and verticals. So, where do you see the main opportunities of AI? Like in what kind of implementations for creation of what value?
So let's start with the industry that I operate in, which and then we could perhaps extend it. How does it apply everywhere else? But we are in that. We are pretty close to that investment management and wealth management space. How do you create investment related products? How do you take them to the clients? And how do you provide them the right advice on how the clients should be managing their portfolios towards achieving their financial outcomes, right? So that's the industry that we operate in. Um, every step of that requires consuming a lot of knowledge, a lot of data, and making the right decisions, right? So that's a whole decision making process. And that decision making process is a mix of using a lot of structured data, but also a lot of intelligence and wisdom and acquired knowledge that we have over the years of multiple years of investing that we kind of bring together, right? So the opportunity in AI then starts at, okay, can we get this thing right together? And more importantly, can we then package it in a way that it starts providing more personalized support to our clients and end investors to meet exactly their needs, right? So that's the whole value chain that we operate in. Every step of it requires blending all of these data elements together and then passing it on to the next level of the value chain. Um, what does it mean? I think it's important to know that oftentimes people think that AI can do something magical, right? They think about AI more in terms of what you would call as artificial general intelligence, which we all know is, the practitioners know that we are many years, perhaps decades away from it, right? Um, but what we have today is AI, which is very good at narrow tasks. So if you can get them to train on each of these decisions, whether it is the investment decisions, whether it is in the way we talk to our clients, the way we provide them the advice, well, or the way we run the enterprise, run our operations on a day-to-day basis. So each of those have to be individually and trained in a narrow way. If you can get them right, so imagine it's like a series of bots which are all doing their job very well, but then you can start connecting all of them. And that's where the magic happens because now you start getting onto something very transformative. So, from a potential perspective, it's not a marginal shift. It's something that is going to significantly change our enterprise, our value propositions. And I can say the same thing is applicable wherever when I talk to my peers, whether it is on the healthcare side, whether it is banking, pick any area, we see a lot of opportunity there.
Right. So at Franklin Templeton, you both, use AI internally for some, automation, for some augmentation of decision making, but also externally for your clients, right? That's how I got it, right?
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So that's good. And can you talk a bit more about some of the products that use AI or how exactly you use it? For example, in the client-facing realm.
Mhm. So, one example that I can give is what we built out is what we call as a goals optimization engine. And what it does is it creates more personalized financial advice for our advisors who can then deliver it to their clients. And the way you do it is you can capture a lot of information about clients and their needs. And you're able to then say what are the right portfolios at different points in time for those advisors. Now, historically, that has also been done, but in absence of that level of knowledge and information, the products tend to be not so custom. They used to be for individual. They used to be more of the standard package products that were given out in markets, or more of the standard financial models that were consumed by investors. But AI allows you to do in very specific terms. It allows you to understand those clients, their goals in a very specific terms, and then make sure that you stay in lockstep. Your portfolio stays in lockstep with the changing needs of the client throughout their life cycle. So that's a big shift to be able to create that. And that requires AI, that requires digital as a constant source of interaction. But so these are more of what you would call as AI native, digital native kind of capabilities. So we had to do a lot of research in this space, which was never done historically, in terms of how does this all come together and then package them in the form of the right products, figure out the way by which the transactions with our clients and the engagements happen. And now we have it out in the market, serving different client bases.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That sounds like very useful. And I'm honestly very interested in these more industry specific applications. It's very interesting what else AI can do. So if you have any other examples, then feel free to continue, because yeah, this is very cool.
Yeah, then the other part of it is, of course, is that can we support our, our clients tend to be financial advisors, as an example, a critical part of our client base, and how do we give them the right kind of support? So are we giving them the right kind of information? Are we providing them with the right support as markets shift in terms of what they are looking for, how their portfolio should be positioned? So there's a lot of work that happens in that space. And again, what we do is develop models. Those are able to help identify those capabilities, identify what are the right kind of support that our clients would need. So there's a lot that can, and I'm not saying that we are all done there. There's a lot that we have done, but there's a lot that we'll continue to do in this space, especially as Gen AI has come into picture, which really helps to make a lot of connections across these different kind of data sets. So that's there. And then, of course, we are trying to work a lot on our improving our internal efficacy, internal scale, scale of the decision making, all of those.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Deep, for joining me today. And please visit cdomagazine.tech for more interviews. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Nazar. Appreciate the time.